There's going to be people who are just like, I'm a Steelers fan regardless of what they do.
Yeah.
When you're trying to talk about the different intricacies of what makes a team good, how to be a better football team, you don't talk to those 10% diehard fans
No.
because you know there's nothing that's going to change their mind on the Steelers being the best team, the best ran team, the best way, the best plays. That if something goes wrong, it's due to everything else, nothing to do with the Steelers. Those are not people you debate sports with. Like,
No.
you don't. So it's the same thing on all these other fields. Don't worry about the people who are just complete diehards in anything. Don't worry about the zealots. Don't even really worry about the priestly class. Listen to what the priestly class is doing. Listen to what those people in power are doing. But they're doing it. They're benefiting so much from doing that it's going to take so much for you to actually change them. Worry about the rest of the people, the unengaged people, the people that could be engaged, the people who are maybe in opposition to that kind of thing. Those are the people to start worrying about. And in that sense, there's I'm just thinking there's hundreds of millions of people who are not open to the case of liberty, who there wasn't enough ammo and evidence to make certain cases for why we need more individualism, why we don't need to trust these structures. Why it's not that we don't need these structures, is due to the fact that we need these structures and can benefit from the structures means we need to hold these structures to that higher level.
Yeah.
It's how many people, as you mentioned, were dating certain people, and maybe those people were beating them, maybe those people were harmful to them, but due to they had the rest of their life going on, they could be like, okay, most of their life is in work, most of their life is around friends who are not as negative, and then they come home at night, and then sometimes their husband isn't there, sometimes their spouse isn't there, but now so the chances of them interacting with that person, that spouse that might have been negative, that wife or that husband that might have been harmful to them, was more divided in these other chances of all these other positive things happening. When now the pandemic happens and now they're spending 10 hours a day instead of the whole like 1.5 hours a day with all these other complications. And then they've had the time to think and realize like, this person's actually really not good for me. It's not worth it for these things. How many of those kind of people have actually woken up and said, finally, I'm going to change something in my life? How many people were obese and dealing with the issues and they're like, wait, we were told health at every size, but I don't care. Like the numbers have come out, and every time I see somebody in my age group dying, they were obese.
Yeah.
Oh, these older people, like the people with comorbidities and things like that, they actually died. I used to think like, oh, that's good to me. I'm going to pass this on in the future. That's going to be a thing. How many of those people finally realize like, no, I need to handle those things now? I think there's more people who are coming out of this thinking they can improve their lives than people who haven't. Just think about like with you personally, like you enjoyed your work, you enjoyed what you're doing. I definitely enjoy these conversations. But if not for this pandemic, you would not have had the free time to actually have as many conversations as I've had with you. Like you've been doing other things, you've been embroiled in other things. You're in a better financial position that I don't think you'd have just been working in your regular job and thought, let me get into this to put me in a different position. So do you personally think there's more people who are in that positive sense or more people who are in dismaying and despairing type of kind of situation?
See, I'm kind of torn on this because I feel like there are people who use the time productively. Like there are people like us, like I remember like people spending time with their families, people like, going upstate, spending time in nature, things like that. But then there's other people who just like kind of like you and my grandfather, whose life didn't really change. They just kind of stayed inside. But then there's other people like, I don't know many people who got like completely down. Like people who were upset that things were closed and they couldn't go out, but I don't know anyone that like, I mean, there are the stories about like substance abuse and suicide going up, but like I don't know anyone personally who like broke from this, who was like, that's it, I'm depressed, I'm just gonna stay inside and drink. Like I haven't seen that personally. I mean, I'm sure it's happening, but I feel like in general it's more people that are kind of neutral who just found ways to adapt. Found ways to adapt. Like they're like, okay, I can work from home, I'll spend more time with my family and just work from home now. Or okay, like me, okay, I'll try and get into other things and use the time productively rather than just watching Netflix all day every day or something. So it's like I feel overall like a lot of people have adapted well. I know for some people the issue was like if they were earning certain money. Like I know some bartenders who they couldn't work because of the pandemic, and then they could get unemployment. But unemployment's even with the increased unemployment, it's still less than they earn typically. So they were in a rough place financially. Like I knew someone who she was collecting unemployment and she had two roommates, and I guess like one moved out, they had a falling out, and the other moved out, so she had to shoulder rent for three people. And then on top of it, it's like because she was collecting unemployment, she was making less money than she would bartending, which is pays pretty well, so she fell way behind financially. So there are people who are in that kind of situation. Then like this person I'm talking about, like she's working like three jobs now because she's trying to like make up the money, pay off credit cards, catch up on bills, save money. It's like so there were people who were screwed like that. Now, but also in her case, that's one of the challenges if you live with 3 people. Now, in my case, I live in this closet of a room, but it's just me and my rent is cheap. So it's like, unless I get like completely, like if I get injured or killed financially somehow, I'm okay because I can keep paying rent. But it's also like, that's the price I pay. That's, I mean, I get what I pay for. I don't pay much in rent. It's just me, but it's also like, it's easier to maintain. Whereas if I had like a really nice apartment and I fell behind, I'd be screwed. Like I'd have to move somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. This has been a clip from an actual longer recording that I'll try to leave a link to on the screen or somewhere around here where you're listening to this.
Pendants. 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 Pendants.
Peasants.
Okay. Okay.